Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little, I'm using it as a phone case, but you could use it as like a coin purse or just a little baggie to carry something in. And it just has this little crochet flower, the case itself, and a little button clasp. And then I'll show you, it's just the perfect size for like an iPhone or really any kind of standard phone. It's about that size. So if you'd like to learn how to make this cute little phone case or coin purse, just definitely keep watching. And I would like to apologize for any horrible camera angles that might happen in this video. I know using my webcam isn't necessarily the best way to make the tutorials. I wanted to use my iPhone to make this video, but I don't really have a way to prop it up, so I might look into getting like a tripod or something so I can hold it the opposite way so you can see my stitches and stuff better. So I'll definitely have a link in the bottom to the pattern if that will be easier for you than watching the video. And until next, or not until next time, I'm not leaving you, so just stay tuned for the tutorial. Okay, so for this project, I'm going to be using 3 different colors of yarn. I'm going to be using this cream colored yarn, and I'm going to be using this kind of taupey, almost like flesh tone, if you will, color yarn. Both of those are loops and threads. I don't know the colors. I haven't had the wrappers for a really long time. And then I'm also going to be using this variegated yarn. It has a bit of texture to it. Again, I don't really remember what this is, but all of these I know that I got at Michael's. But you can use pretty much whatever you want. I'm just doing personal preference to how I want it to look. And then for the entire project, I'm going to be using an I 5.5 crochet hook. So to get started, I'm going to make the flower first because that's pretty quick. And I'm going to start with the cream colored yarn. So what you're going to want to do is, of course, make your slip knot. What I like to do is cross the yarn over like so. Just kind of put your fingers through the loop, and then grab the main strand that you're going to be working with and just pull that through along the tail. And then you have your slip knot. And then you just put your hook through and tug on the main strand, and that'll tighten it up for you. And then I'm going to chain 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry if my laptop gets in the way. I know I talked about that a little bit. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the very first chain we worked, just like so. And that'll create a little loop for us to work into. I'm going to do a chain 1, and then I'm going to work this in double crochet. So I'm going to wrap my yarn over once, go into the middle of the chain loop that we made, wrap the yarn over and pull through. We'll have 3 on our hook. Wrap the yarn over, pull through 2 loops, wrap the yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So then we have a nice double crochet. And then I'm going to double crochet into the loop again, and I'm going to do that for 10. So then we have 3. Ooh, I need to get more yarn. Should have taken this out of the middle of the ball. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we have that. Get a little bit more yarn. And so this is going to create the base of the flower. Then you're just going to want to slip stitch back to the beginning. What I found is with the first couple of stitches, they'll end up being on the front rather than on the top. So you just kind of go through those 2 loops there, wrap your around. Yep, wrap your yarn around and then pull through the one loop. So then you have the base of your flower, and then I'm just going to pull up a loop, grab my scissors, and make sure I'm cutting the right place, and just cut that off. And then you can just pull that through and tighten it up. And then if you want to, you can tighten this. I'm just going to do that a little bit later. So we have that, and then we're done with the cream yarn. And then I'm going to go in with my variegated yarn, and I am going to attach that to the base of the flower here, or the middle of the flower. And I'm just going to, let's see, this is where we ended, so I'm going to go 2 back from that. And I'm just going to go in. You can really go in anywhere that you want to. And then to attach it, I just wrap the yarn over and pull it through. So we have a little loop on our project. Just make sure you can see that. And then I do a chain 2, like that. And then that first chain is going to secure it. So you can just pull that tail really tight. And then I'm going to use this to make the petals. So in the same stitch that we attached our yarn to, I'm going to do 5 half double crochets. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it'll end up looking something like that. And then into the next stitch, which might get a little bit covered by some of your half double crochets, you're going to do a slip stitch. And then while you're working these stitches, you can just grab the tail that you attached your new yarn with and the tail where you ended your yarn, and just work those underneath your stitches so you don't have to sew them in later. And so we're going to go into the next stitch and do 5 half double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go into the next stitch and do a slip stitch. So you'll end up with something like that. And you just keep working your way around. You should end up, I believe, with 6 petals. And I will meet you back there. Okay, so I've done my last slip stitch. And then what I'm going to do is, also I obviously can't count because there are 5 petals on this flower, not 6. I'm going to go around the first post of that very first petal. It might be a little bit hard to see if you're using yarn like I am, but just kind of go into the very first stitch you can get to, and then do a slip stitch, like so, and then just pull up a little bit of yarn. And then we're going to cut our tails. So I'm going to cut that tail off. Just kind of pull that through, like so. And then I'm going to flip my flower around. And I have the 2 tails that I crocheted in. If you didn't crochet them in, you can go ahead and sew them in. If you did, you can just go ahead and cut those off. And then they should hide in there nicely. And then we have this tail, which we can pull the middle of the flower shut nice and tight. And then just grab our needle and sew that in just around the loops a little bit. You don't have to sew it in too much. That'll be good. And just sew that through there. And cut that off. And then you have your flower. Well, most of your flower. We still have to sew this one in. So then we'll sew that in real quick. So let's see. We can go to the back and just kind of, sometimes with this variegated yarn it's a little bit hard to see where you're going. I'm just trying to go through the very bottoms of my stitches. There, that should be enough. Let's cut that off. And there, you have a nice little flower applique for our project. So next, we are going to be working on the main part of the project, and I'm going to be not using this color actually. I'm going to be using that taupey colored yarn. I'll just pull a handful off before we start. And to start this project, you're of course going to do your slip knot, so cross over and grab the main part of your strand through the loop and pull tight, and you have your slip knot. And then we are going to chain 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I actually lied. We're going to chain 15. So, if you worked ahead of me, I'm very sorry. We're going to chain 15. We're going to end up having 30 stitches. So, we have our chain 15. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. And we're going to work a half double crochet in every chain across. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, that was 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, oops, I did it again. 14 and 15. And then what we're going to do is, get a little bit more yarn, we're going to work 15 stitches down the other side of the project. So this is going to be the other side. So in that same stitch we were just in, we're going to do another double crochet. And your project might get a little bit twisted, but don't worry too much about it. And then I'm actually just going to grab the tail and crochet it in so I don't have to sew it in later. And then in the next one, so I'll have 2, 3, and I just want to make sure you're seeing where I'm going in. Just so this is the stitch we're going to be working in next. We're just going to go right into that hole like that. You can kind of see it's just at the very bottom of where all of your stitches are. So we'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then what that's going to do is create the bottom of our pouch. And then you just go ahead and you slip stitch it right to that very next stitch. Just like so. And then you're just going to work that again. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, like I said, it might get a little bit twisted, so it could be hard to work with sometimes, but you can just keep flattening it out. And if it turns inside out a little bit, that's okay. You can fix that. And sometimes it ends up being the corners that are the hardest part to do. So I'll try and make sure you can see that well, how I'm just trying my best to go right in the top of the stitch. Like so. It gets a little bit easier the farther along in the project you get to do all of the stitches. Okay, we're almost back to the beginning. That one. We have that one. And a slip. Just like that. And then you're just going to keep working this for 4 more rows. So you'll end up having 6 rows, and I will meet you there. Okay, so now you should have this, and I actually ended up doing 7 rows instead of just 6. I measured it against my phone just to make sure I was doing enough, and just so you can see, the 7 makes it a perfect fit, like so. So now what you're going to want to do is do your chain 1 and just work 15 or however many it takes to get you halfway across. And we're going to start making the flap. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, that one didn't go through the stitch right. And that wasn't a half double crochet. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So then we can just go ahead and make sure that that looks right. So we have our project like that. It looks like we might actually need one more stitch on there, just to account for any twisting or anything that might have happened. So I'm going to go ahead and add one more stitch into there, like so. Yeah, that's a bit better. And then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 and turn our project, and we will skip the very first stitch and half double crochet into the second stitch. So we'll go 1, 2, half double crochet into that one, and this will start decreasing the flap, and then we'll go all the way across. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, sorry, gotta get more yarn, 13, and then when you have just 2 stitches left, you're going to skip that stitch and just half double crochet into your last stitch, like so, and that will be the start of your flap. And then you're going to pretty much just do the same thing. Chain 1 and turn your work, and then skip the first one, and half double crochet into the next one, and then half double crochet all the way across until you just have 2 stitches left. Oops. 5, I think. For this part, you don't really have to keep count. You just want to make sure you have enough stitches at your very start. So then I have 3 stitches left. So I'll do that, and then I'll skip the next one and go into this last one. Like so. And then chain 1. And then you can just go ahead and kind of test how it's going to close. So mine looks like this. I'll get a little bit more yarn. There we go. And then it looks like I did my chain 1, but I'm going to make sure. Yep, I did. So go back into that loop and chain 1 and flip. Then skip the first one. And then half double crochet all the way across. Well, until there's 2 remaining. Actually, for this one, we're going to want to see how many stitches we have remaining. So, we have the decrease here, and then we'll account for the decrease at the end here. So then we have 1 or 2, 4, 6. So we're going to do our decrease, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, so that's 4 stitches. Then we're going to chain 2 and do 1, 2, 3, and decrease. So then we have that, and we have our little buttonhole. And then you are finished with your pouch. So you can just pull up a little loop. Oops. And then cut that off. Like that. You can also chain 1 to secure it, or however you want to do it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and, while I'm thinking about it, cut off this guy since we already sewed him in. And then I will take my needle, and I'm sorry if you can hear anything outside. I guess they're doing yard work or something. And then I'll just take my needle. Maybe I will create a little knot here just to make sure it doesn't get messed up. There we go. And then I'll just open this guy up and sew it down into the other stitches. Make sure you can see. I'm just trying to get out of the way of the buttonhole so I don't sew into that. And then we'll just bring it through a few of these stitches, like so, and then just pull it through and cut it off like that. And then we have our case. So our case looks just like this. So there's the button side and the back. Now, this comes down to personal preference. Technically, we worked the case inside out, so if you wanted, you could pop it around like this and have it be more like that. But personally, I actually like how the inside out looks just a little bit better, at least for this project. So I'm going to leave mine inside out. I'm sorry if this bothers some people, but I like how this looks a little bit better. So what we're going to do next is attach our flower. And so to attach the flower, I'm going to attach mine to the back of my case. Again, you can attach it anywhere you want, but I'm going to attach it, let's see, I'm going to attach it right here on my case. And so to do that, I'm just going to grab a strand of the cream yarn, maybe a foot long should be plenty. I just have about, see if I can show you, I have about this much of the yarn. And so to do that, I'm going to thread my yarn needle, and then let's see, which side of the flower do I want facing? That's the front, so here's the back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under one of the little loops of yarn like so. I'm just going to pull that up. I don't want too much in there, but I'm just going to tie a knot to attach this. Here, I'll just remove that guy. So I'll just tie a couple of nice and tight knots on there, like so. And then I'll just cut this tail really short, so there's still a little bit of a tail so the knot doesn't come undone. And then I'll just reattach this back onto my work, like so. And then, so just remembering where our knot is, I'm going to position that how I like it on the bag, or on the coin purse or phone cover or whatever you want it to be. And then I'm going to, here, I'll try and do it facing the camera so you can see. I'm going to look and see where the knot lines up with my bag. So it's about right here. Now I'm going to do invisible sewing, I believe is what it's called. And so what you're going to do is you're going to want to go into the front loop of the stitch only, just like so, and then pull that through to anchor down your flower. And then what you do is you go up, and hopefully you can see that. You're going to go up and into a couple of the stitches, the backs only stitches of the flower, and pull that through. And you're going to want to keep doing that all the way around your project so that the white stitches will not show up on the inside of the flower. Alternatively, if it's easier for you, you can use yarn that's the same color as your pouch and just kind of sew it on how you might normally. Unless you do this technique normally, then it's no big deal. But I just personally really like this technique, especially for hats and stuff, so that you can't see all of the yarn work on the other side. I lost my needle, so I'll just reattach that real quick. There we go. And then we'll just go into these stitches here, trying to make sure you can kind of see how I'm working it. Maybe I'll do the next one a little bit closer so you can really see it well. So, let's see. You can kind of see it there, I think. So I've gone through the top loops of that stitch, so I'm going to go just into the back loops of these stitches like that. And then I'll show you, I have it through there, but on the front you can't see where my needle is going through. So then I'll just pull that through nice and snug. And then I'll go into the top loops of some of these stitches over here. It's a bit hard to do it from here. There you go. You can see how I lost it. I'm just in the tops of these loops, and so I'll bring it over. If you look on the inside of the bag where I'm attaching my flower, you don't see any of the yarn that I'm using. So then you just pull that through nice and snug, like so. And then just keep doing that until it's on there how you want it. I'm almost all the way around, so I don't know if I'm going to do another round of sewing or if I'll be happy with just one go around. That. And then, let's see, where do I want to sew it down? Sew it down right here. That. Go through a couple of these. Yeah, maybe I'll just do one more really quick round. And once you kind of get in a rhythm, the invisible sewing technique gets really, really easy. And you can just kind of know right where you need to put things. Of course, I'm going to say that and then turn it inside out, and there's going to be white stitches everywhere. So like that. And we'll just hop over here. And if you want, you can sew the petals down too. I just kind of like the petals to have a little bit of movement. Go into there. And then this will be my last stitch. I'll just go through there and through there. I'll pull that nice and tight. And there, our flower is good and attached. And so what I'll do next is I'll just pop up the edge here, and I'll take my yarn needle and just kind of put it through to the front. Like so, and it should just pop right in there. And then what I can do is reattach my yarn needle, throw it to the side too quick, just reattach my yarn needle, like so, and just sew it right through the very front loops, much like you would for a hat or any circular object. I'll just sew it through a couple of times like so, and then I can take my yarn needle off and then just cut it off, and there you have your flower. And then hopefully, yep, if I turn it inside out, there is no white stitching on the inside. So I successfully invisibly crocheted my flower on there. So then we have that on our pouch, and that's awfully cute. And so now we still just have to do our button. And so I will go grab my button real quick. I forgot to get that out, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have the button that I'm going to use. I'm just going to use this cute little wooden button here. And what I like about this button is it has big enough holes so that my needle can go all the way. It takes a little bit of working, but it'll go all the way through the button. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to cut off a couple of, and there's some big knot in here for some reason. I'm going to cut off a couple of strands of yarn. Let's see. You don't need to be super long. Maybe about this long. Say, what is that, 8 inches, or no, that's longer, that's more like 10 inches, but it doesn't need to be very long. And so what I'm going to do is just thread my needle and pull the yarn through one of the holes on my button, and then I'll thread the other side. Oops. Thread the other side, and then pull it through the hole directly across from that one, like so. So we have one part of our button threaded, and you can just kind of even out the tails there. And then I'm just going to do the same thing for the other 2 holes. Just pop this one through that hole, like so. And I don't know these random pieces of yarn, I just haven't gotten rid of my tails that I cut off. And then I'll pull this through, and pull that one through that hole. Oh, there we go. So then we have all of the tails threaded through our button. And then all we're going to do is we can just kind of separate them. And we got to figure out where we're going to put the button. So it looks like about there is where it lines up with the hole that we made, as you can see. So that's about the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th and 6th row up. Is you just kind of want to center it between those 2 and in the middle. It might be a little bit different for the bag that you made. And so then what I'm going to do is I'll just take these 2 ends together and thread them through my needle. And then, let's see, where do we want it again? We want it right here. So I'll just stick that between 2 stitches and pull it through. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Like that. We just want to make sure we're getting it centered where we want it. And I'll take that and I'll put it through these 2 stitches, like that. And pull it through, and then hopefully it'll be where we want it. That looks pretty good. We can just do a little test, pop that through. That seems to work really well. And so we have that button on there. We can unbutton it. And then what I'll do is I'll just turn it inside out. And I'm going to take my tails, and I'm just going to do a really tight, I'm going to do a couple of really tight knots. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and take your needle like so. And just thread it through a few stitches. I think I did about 5. Just kind of thread that through, give it a little tug, and cut off those ends. And then do the same thing on the other side. So attach the yarn like so. Thread it through a few of the bottom stitches. Let's see. Do 5 again this time just so it's even. Ooh, finding it hard to get it through some of those stitches. There we go. And just tug that through like so. Kind of flatten it out. And then you can skip those. And then turn it back right side out. And you have an attached button. So then you can just button it shut. And you have a finished little pouch. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'll go ahead and show you. It's just the right size for like an iPhone if you have one. So I can take my phone and slide it right in there. And then button it up. And I have a cute little case to safely carry my phone. You could use it as like a coin purse or however you want to use it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and you enjoyed making your own little coin purse or a phone case. So until next time, I will talk to you later. Bye!